Good day, everyone. My name is Muhammad Adib Kamali. I am from Future Communication System Laboratory. In this video, I would like to present you basic to advanced battery management system. So this video it will talk about basic battery management system, or we can call it BMS, to advanced BMS, which use machine learning or deep learning method. Here is the section in this video. I divide by four. There is introduction in the first chapter. Second chapter is state of chart estimation. We will talk further about this. Same in state of health estimation on the chapter 3, and the last chapter is concluding remarks. As we know, lithium ion battery is really widely used now. Demand for electric vehicle is increasing continuously. That makes lithium batteries widely used, and performance of electric vehicle is dependent on its power source, which is its battery in this case. That's why lithium batteries must be managed to ensure it operates within safe operating region. This is the survey in Bloomberg. The expected demand for electric vehicles 54% by 2040, and is 45% of new car sale will be electric. It means the demand for battery will increase as well. Lithium benefits here. We have why we need to choose lithium ion, because lithium ion has many advantages. As we can see here, there is lower self discharge rate. This is uh, which makes the battery has a long cycle, faster charging capability, and also high power density. And because it has lower self discharge, that's why the lithium ions has longer cycle life. Then we know that we need to use in many electronic device the lithium ion, but in another side we need to make sure that it's operate in safe operating region. Then what we can use for doing that task is battery management system, or we can call it BMS. On this video we will talk about the basic, what is the basic BMS, and what is the current intelligence battery management system, or usually it's involve advanced methods or deep learning method or machine learning method on BMS. So here is the advantage of accurate SOC estimation. If we have BMS inside, then we can predict accurate SOC estimation. Then we can maintain safe operation of the battery. We can extend and maintain service life of the battery, and reducing cost of operation and maintenance. Why? Because if we can avoid premature failure of the battery, then we can reduce the cost of the operation and maintenance. And is several BMS functions. There are many things, but we are not talk all of these. I will just discuss a little bit about battery balancing, failure diagnosis, and battery cell estimation, which is it will be on the next chapter, set of start and state of health estimation. But we will not discuss about the power prediction or another here relay control and thermal management because of limitation of time. So, what is battery management system? This is the BMS software accessor offer multitasking capabilities. Previously, BMS is not possible to continue different tasks simultaneously, but nowadays BMS capable to do several tasks such as voltage measurement over over current or voltage protection, and temperature measurement and protective relay, and it can be done at the same time. This is the BMS software architecture. We have the SOC or state of charge estimation to make sure that when we need to charge the battery or when we should discharge, we should stop discharge the battery. And this one is simulation model, and we have a sensory data because to do SOC estimation or SOC electromechanical or doing fault diagnosis, we need sensory data and so on. Also, because of advanced BMS is extensively developed, then they are researchers trying to develop on real-time operation system. This is real-time operation system, and we can put BMS engine here, and we have database, and the database is responsible to gather all of this kind of data. And this is the application, and you can put microcontroller here. So basically, battery life can be optimized based on the following features. We need to make sure that user can control and we can monitor to examine battery system performance in different system block. So to do this, BMS can help us to control and also examine the battery system performance. Second thing that we need to consider is battery pack performance and safety features, and also we need to monitoring the system unit with different accident scenarios. For example, if you use the battery on electric vehicle, sometimes if you want to do acceleration or braking, then it makes the battery need to discharge or charging, and if we didn't monitor this kind of things, it makes accident on the battery or premature failures of the battery. And so advanced technology that integrate batteries with conventional and non-conventional energy source. It's like fuels. We can also integrate with the ultra capacitor or supercapacitor, something like that. And we can deploy Internet of Things on it, which monitor and control the energy management system in BMS. So basically, BMS functionalities contain many things such as monitoring, protection, charging and discharging management, communication between component with battery and another things, diagnosis is really important, data management. This is the regarding the voltage, current measurement, or temperatures, everything that we can measure to get those kind of data. We need data management. I want to discuss a little bit about the what kind of things that we need to monitor. Here we need to monitor voltage, current, cell voltage, temperature, uh, isolation, interlocks, so on, and protection as well. We need to protect the operating mode, setting fault criteria in protection function. We need to identifying the system and predicting the packs over voltage and over current, predicting the isolation fault, right? Detecting the height and low temperature. And in charging and discharging management, we need to control the charger current when we need to give more current to charge and we need to give minimum current to charge. Then we need to control that kind of things. This is the turn on and off active switch between the pack and the load charger. And this is really important and is related with battery balancing in the battery pack. That is about when we need to turn on and turn off the active switch. Set the dynamic power limits, conduct active and uh, passive balancing. This kind of thing is really important we need to ensure our BMS has kind of distinct features. On diagnosing data management, we need to estimate depth of discharge, state of charge, battery capacity, cell temperature, state of fitness, or state we can as also known as state of function, available energy on it, charging time, remaining useful life. Is about we want to estimate how long battery can handle, and remaining runtime, inner impedance of cell is also can represent the battery health. On the communication, we need to consider communication between internal and external BMS, such as the BMS itself, between BMS itself and fuel. If you integrate with fuel, if you integrate with ultracapacitor, how you manage how you establish the communication between battery and the ultracapacitor and such, and so on. And also communication between BMS and primary system. In electric vehicle, is primary system is how we drive the vehicle, how so it's kind of communication between we know that our battery health we need to monitor, then how we communicate that information to the system, to the electric vehicles, something like that. In this slide is BMS for electric transportation. If we using the BMS on the electric vehicle or in EV, we have the accelerator here and electronic control unit which will decide the whole system. It will be controlled by electronic control unit actually, but which part somehow we need to consider the battery health. Then in the modern EV we need to connect the control electric control unit to the BMS here. So we have our source, energy source, and it will be monitored by BMS, and BMS will communicate with electronic control unit, or in some risk and other literatures, we can also call this VCU, vehicle control unit, but in this case we can just also call it electronic control units. It means if the accelerator or pedal, we push the pedal to have the more acceleration, it will the pedal or the signal will be sent to electronic control unit, and what will happen next, it will check the battery condition, right? And if that's okay, then the required payment or the power demands from the pedal here, it will be sent to the power converter. Then after we decide how much power, after the BMS know how much power that we need to supply to satisfy this signal, then battery will transfer the amount of energy. Then this power converter will convert from electrical signal to the mechanical signal using this power converter, and it's connected to motor. Also, in battery we have air conditioning or sensing communication on board, and finally there is mechanical drive. And in EV there are not, what I have discussed or what I have told you is how battery is discharged by this system. But this battery also have charge mode. If from will from the mechanical drive transmit, battery will absorb the energy. So it means, in other words, from electric motor, it can be converted to the electrical energy, then battery can be charged. It's not really strong current, but it still has current. So that's why Here battery can be charged by this one charged through the regenerative braking. So this whole system is power strain system structure of the battery powered EV. As I mentioned you, two main operating mode, charging and discharging. And discharging mode is power electric motor that converts the electrical energy to mechanical energy. And the mechanical drive, this one, power converter, mechanical drive, transmit the rotation energy to the wheel. And then we can move the vehicle using battery. That's all about the BMS. Now we try to take a look wider what kind of research uh, on the BMS research in three intelligent BMS. In this case, is battery balancing, failure diagnosis, signal acquisition, battery set estimation, and is this just the function that we need to prepare to do SOC estimation and set of health estimation and remaining useful life also. Instead of estimation, we want to focus on data-driven methods, and if we want to make a little bit narrow down, we have the data-driven. We can divide by ARIMA. This is more on statistical method, and this is ENN or machine learning method. Almost same with the SOC estimation. We have two things here. Data-driven method. It has RNN, recurrent neural network, and this is the advanced version of RNN, that is LSTM. To do remaining useful life prediction, there are two options also, hybrid like data driven plus model based. We have NN model with particle filter, or is pure data driven method, for example with LSTM, RNN on GRU and everything that we can use to estimate the RL prediction. Here is the circle. To do set of state estimation, we actually involve 1, 2, 3. So we actually involve battery set estimation. We also involve uh, this one, the signal acquisition as well, and battery failure. And also here, battery state of estimation, there are two. This is also battery set estimation and signal acquisition. And in remaining useful life, it's can be used for battery balancing. Here, involve battery balancing. Then this is the state of chart estimation. I want to give you overview of what is state of chart estimation. State of charge is the level of charge of the electric battery relative to its capacity, or is like the information that we can use to know when we should charge the battery, or we need to know set SOC to stop discharging to avoid over discharge. The unit of SOC are percentage point. 0% equal empty and 100% equal full battery, or battery is fully charged. To compute the SOC, we can use this equation. This is the battery state of charge at time t, and this is the battery initial state of charge, and this is the charge or discharge current. This is battery capacity in ampere hour. So here we have a previous battery SOC. Then we will add to check time t. We will consider the previous SOC. Then we add current SOC. This is 0 to t. Then that's why SOC is really important information, because it's uh, the time step is on t. I mean every second that you every second you use the battery, you can measure the SOC to make sure that you are using the battery safely. This is the various existing method of the SOC estimation. There are two type of existing methods: model-based method and data-driven methods. In the model-based method, we will use equivalent circuit model. Is actually we mimicking the battery. So before we estimate the SOC in our computer, in our PC, we will make the equivalent circuit model. Then here we have the model of the battery, and here is we can measure the voltage, then measure the SOC. But another option is data-driven method. We don't need to make this kind of circuit model. We only need raw data in data-driven method to estimate SOC. And from the raw data, such as voltage and current, and another thing that we can use to estimate the SOC, then we call it that method is data-driven method. This is the comparison between model-based method and data-driven method. Model-based is low hardware requirement and computation cost. Why? Because it's only use uh, the equivalent circuit model, or ECM, but is poor accuracy when used to model highly nonlinear relationship. This happens because in model based they assume certain condition. It means they try to make um, battery degrade or battery change with certain conditions such as linear or exponential, something like that. And it's not happen in real in actual implementation actually. That's why it's poor accuracy when we use model with highly nonlinear relationship. In data driven is using data driven model, the advantage is strong and accurate nonlinear fitting and expressive capability to model capture complex relationship. But again, it has disadvantage that is require relatively higher hardware requirement and also require much data. Then it's cost a little bit expensive compared with model based. This is how a researcher develop model based methods or model based SOC estimation approach. So we have a battery cell here. We measure the open circuit voltage. Then we make the equivalent circuit model here. Then we can call it battery modeling, right? Then once we have battery modeling done, then we need to do parameter identification. We can use several algorithms to do this. We will update this equivalent model, then we will absorb using uh, this algorithm, parameter identification algorithm. After parameter identification, such as we know that we will monitor or we will estimate SOC uh, using this one predefined parameter, then we develop filtering algorithm. For example, here is the model parameter we decide using voltage, then we will estimate the voltage using this algorithm, filter algorithm. So basically, after battery modeling, then we get the parameter that we want to monitor that or we want to use as the input. After that, we need to use any algorithm such as you can use ANN or another things. but in this case they use Kalman unscented Kalman filter to estimate SOC. What is their input? Their input is parameter that's already defined earlier. And what is the input of this algorithm is SOC. Then this is the energy management system here. So that's kind of things we classify it is model based method. How about data driven methods? In data driven methods, we estimate SOC using measured battery data. Basically, we can call it offline process and online process. What we need to do on the offline process is training the SOC estimation model. We need to train the model using measured battery data. This is just the simple one. Actually, in advanced methodology, we can fuse this model with several things. But basically, mainly in offline process, we gather raw data, we gather all measurable data, battery data, then we need to do data pre-processing. After that, we need to train the model using battery that have been pre-processed. Once we have the model and we make sure that our model is good, then we can upload to the we can use it to estimate SOC. Then that's we next to the online process is update the model and estimate the SOC. In this case, in the online, you can use different data that you use on the training model. You can choose the model with you can use the actual battery data, or you can use generated data. But as long as you try the SOC, your model to estimate SOC uh, using different battery data, using battery data that you use during training. That is we call it in online process. This is the experimental setup. For example, we have the battery here, and assume that we already trained the data, the model. Then what we want to do is to estimate the SOC. We can upload the algorithm to the Texas Instruments 3000 chip here. Then we can connect to the battery pack and we can monitor this one. I monitor the SOC and voltage here, and inside this board I upload the machine learning model to estimate SOC. Anyway, this is a battery from Bexel company, and the profile of the battery dataset used for experiment setup is profile is this. Bexel provide us the battery pack, which has capacity value 7.2 and cutout voltage 2.5 and 4.2, and charge profile constant current and constant voltage. This is what we have in performance evaluation. This is in the training model. You need to divide the training data. First, you need to divide. This is will be used for training, and this historical data you will use for testing data. After training result, in this case, this is not using machine learning. This is using autoregressive integrated moving average. This is such as statistical method to estimate SOC. And during training, you will get this normal SOC. Then you have residual error. It's less than it's really small error. Then we can continue and we can conclude that the model is training well. Then we can estimate. So after training data in the testing data, I use the testing data to test how accurate the model. And this is the actual data on the simulation, and this is the Simulink model after we upload the code. After we upload the model to the board, then in Simulink we can gather this actual and sim estimate SOC. The yellow is the result of the proposed method, and the blue one is the actual data, or data that we gather using Bexel. We next to the state of health estimation. The state of health is measurement that reflect the general condition of the battery and its ability to deliver the specified performance compared with fresh battery. So the keyword is state of health related to the measurement that's which can represent the current condition compared with the fresh battery. So here is the equation that we can use uh, to measure the SOH. Where is the C initial is the initial value of the battery capacity. What it does it mean is this is the value of the battery capacity value when we buy new battery from manufacturer. That is the initial value, and CK is the capacity at the current cycle. Okay, and let's take a look. How about the battery SO estimation methods? Here is experimental method, is internal resistance, measurement, capacity level, and so on. On the model-based method, as we mentioned earlier in model-based, they use equivalent circuit model. After that, they use uh, several algorithms such as adaptive filter, this is electrochemical model, and this ACM is electron equivalent circuit model, and other method. This is most um, widely used on model-based method. And in this video, we want to take a little bit on model-based and also in machine learning. In machine learning methods, support factor regression, neural network, fuzzy logic, and also I want to discuss about hybrids like machine learning, but we consider the experimental method. I mean, we will use machine learning method, but for the input, we will use the experimental method, that is internal resistance and capacity level, to train the machine learning. Here is more on hybrid method. This is the overview. As we know that battery capacity degrade over time, and capacity degradation affects performance. And the charge and discharge time shorten because there is less to fill. Here is the illustration why battery getting shorten and shorten over time, because this is the active or available energy or empty zone that can be refilled, while this is the rock content and unusable and no longer store energy. Even though we charge, then still there is space or dead space here that cannot be charged anymore. This is related with the capacity degradation. While in rising internal resistance, basically battery capacity degrade, and another thing is internal resistance rising, and is also affect performance. What does it mean is uh, low resistance is if we have low resistance, then the battery can deliver high current on no demand and battery stay cool. But if the battery has high resistance, then current is resisted, then makes the battery heats up. Based on this kind of things, actually this is on experimental method, they will estimate the SOC. For example, they will estimate SOC based on the rate of capacity degradation, or they will estimate the capacity based on rising internal resistance, the rate of rising internal resistance based on of this. So, inspired by that one, we develop the battery also can be. This is the conclusion. We uh, we can conclude that SOH can be monitored as the increase of equivalent resistance or the equivalent internal resistance, and we can monitor a battery SOH by capacity degradation. This is the capacitor showing ESR. This is the capacitor and capacity, and this is the equivalent series resistance. Here is the capacity degradation curve of the battery and ESR recovery curve. So every cycle capacity degrades. Same as here, every cycle equivalent series resistance increase. Based on this data, we want to estimate, then we want to build the machine learning model that's consider both of these. So here we use capacity and internal resistance, as you can see here. So basically capacity and internal resistance are not directly measurable, so it's where it requires complex computation. We know that we need both data that are capacity and ESR, but we need to do complex computation to obtain those kind of data. What should we do is, what we can do is we can replace it uh, with the something that can represent the capacity and ESR. If we take a look a little bit deeper, capacity is current time series where T and T1 and T2 are the starting and ending time of charging or discharge process, and ESR is delta voltage or the difference between previous voltage and current voltage divided by current, and the Ohm law is used to obtain ESR with the given current and voltage drop. After looking of those kind of things, we want to develop this method using that considering capacity degradation and internal resistance increasing internal resistance. But again, because we know that this data is are difficult to obtain, then we will just replace by this data. We will call it health indicator, where delta V here is representing the capacity loss extracted from current curve, and the another is representing the increasing the ESR. So here we want to use drop voltage as a feature for predicting increasing internal resistance, and this is the delta T or the delta time as the feature for predicting capacity loss. Why we choose this one? Because this is the T and T2 is the capacity. I mean, it's direct to compute the capacity. So as we can see here in the fresh cell, charging or discharging time is longer than each cell. It's represent the capacity degradation, as well as here, as well as the drop voltage. Here is the fresh from here. It just dropped to here, but the edge battery is dropped far away from the beginning. Then it can be used as a feature to predict ESR. This is the whole flowchart of the our proposed methods. We considering monitoring both capacity loss and or capacity degradation and increasing internal resistance instead of only monitoring one of them. and we substitute the capacity data and using current data and the voltage drop to represent capacity degradation and in ESR. Then once we have those kind of input, we will use LSTM model. This is a deep learning model, and current data is used to predict capacity degradation, and the voltage drop it's used to predict the increasing ESR. After that, we have the capacity degradation model and increasing ESR. Then we can use it to obtain remaining useful life and state of health values. This is the results of LSTM. We have the training data here, and the red one is predicted, and the blue is observed. We also measure the RMSE or the error, root mean square error of this model is 0 something. It's really small. It means the voltage drop can be used to estimate the SOH. This is the time difference of current data that we use to estimate capacity, and same here we use LSTM. Again, the root mean square error is relatively small, means time difference of current data needed to reach the end on chart can reflect capacity degradation. Here is, if we zoom it, and we can see it's can capture the observed or the actual capacity degradation. We can conclude that the SOS prediction based on LSTM with assemble health indicator has proposed in this paper, and using that health indicator we can have a good performance or high accuracy, and also we can reduce the complexity because we replace the capacity and internal assistant. The results confirm that the high accuracy of SOH prediction can improve by this plan. In future works, the proposed model can be further studied in several batteries and several box conditions, including data analysis and algorithm optimization. Then, thank you for your attention.